Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things, of course. Now, if you're new to the channel, just know this is for educational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, but I make these videos specifically for my patrons to ensure that we all stay profitable because I do share all of my trades with my community members, and this is one of them that we've actually been able to invest in. We got in around $20, $24, I believe it was, in September, early September, of course, and it's actually turned out to be a very good investment. Okay, so we'll take a look at that here. So thank you so much, Tony, for requesting that I cover this here today again. Get y'all an update on what's going on here with Atom. Now, before we do, of course, I just got to let you know, even though I've already mentioned I'm not a financial advisor and this is for educational purposes only, I always like to recommend not only do you own research, that's kind of redundant and self-explanatory, but I want you to develop your own trading style and your own habits as well. Don't just take what you learn here today as the only way to do things. Yes, I have an 80% success rate and I'm very consistent in my trading, but I'm a very patient person and not everyone has that same mindset, right? So if you're not really patient, perhaps you can learn something here, but just develop your own trading style and learn as much as you can for as many people as possible. I've gotten here in the last 15 years of trading by educating myself, just by immersing myself in other environments, other people's shoes, and understanding and taking little bits and pieces from everyone else. Okay, so just some friendly advice there. Learn what you can, develop your own trading style, and just make sure you have good best practice and healthy habits. And those are things that I like to try to communicate to all of my patrons, but also my viewers as well, and that includes you. So thank you again so much for joining me here today. I hope you learned a thing or two. Moving forward, why don't we just go ahead and jump right into the charts? Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Atom. And just before we do, we look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a quick baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on. That way we get an understanding of big picture and, it really helps us understand the price movement in these altcoins, of course. Now, some coins move independent of Bitcoin, others, have a tendency of being very reliant on it. That being said, we're still going to look at that to make sure we understand big picture. Furthermore, too, a lot of coins on the ERC20 blockchain, so it's helpful to just take a quick peek at that as well. So, Ethereum is a good coin to understand because most of the time, when people migrate away from Bitcoin, it goes right over to Ethereum. It's kind of like the alternative coin, so to speak, for that type of investment. That's why it's important to look at both, because a lot of times, when Bitcoin starts to dip, sometimes Ethereum will increase contrary to that, depending on the time of year. We'll look at that, of course, here. So first of all, this is a 4-hour chart. Let's go ahead and quickly enable our simple moving averages. We can see right now the price is testing the 200-day simple moving average. This is a really good sign here. Basically, we're looking at about 47,800 as a rough estimate for the support level there with the 200. So that's great news. Glad to see that. Furthermore, as well, we've got a major support level here, which again, keep in mind this candlestick has not closed yet. We've still got a couple hours left in this trading cycle at 48,000 even. So 48,000 is still a support level. And bear in mind too, the 4-hour chart, even though yes, it's important to look at that, the 1-day chart, that's where the major resistance and support levels are for this coin. So just to quickly peek at that, if you can kind of see here, we've got a major resistance right now at about 48,000, of course. So we want to be able to get the price to break above that and stay above. So if all goes well here in a couple of hours, the price will close above 48,000. If not, it'll continue to work as a resistance, which it has. Furthermore, too, we got a support level at about 46,800. It's kind of working itself into this smaller channel. The idea and hope is for it to keep testing this resistance level and break through so we can start trending above 48,000 on to 50 and then moving on past there. Okay. Now just keep in mind also too, this being a weekend, it's pretty normal for the price to increase. So this increase that we saw here over the past 24 hours makes perfect sense. We went pretty much from 46,800 all the way up to kind of break this resistance, but also working down below now. Okay, so for lack of better terms, we're looking at 46,800 as a major support and 48,000 as a major resistance currently at this point in time, with 44,000 down below and 50,000 up above. Moving on to Ethereum, essentially we're looking at this here, kind of get an idea. This is nice in a sense because the price is kind of responding well to both the moving averages. So the 200 and the 50 are both working as a support. Yes, it's below the right now, but again, we've still got a couple of hours left for this candlestick. We'll see what happens. And ultimately, I like the fact that it keeps testing that because it could very well bounce and return back up, especially if Bitcoin can kind of stay above 48,000. So right now, Ethereum is fairly reliant on Bitcoin's progress, but once Bitcoin stabilizes between 48 to 50, then we're going to see Ethereum come back up to about 35.50 and keep pushing higher. Okay. But for right now, Ethereum is just kind of doing its normal thing. working within its support and resistance levels. Moving on to Atom here, and sorry, I have this chart pulled up here, of course, from because this is the take profit targets that we actually hit on our signal group through my Patron account. So check that out. Link in the description below. I send out signals weekly, well, 3 to 5 signals per week on average. Swing trade, hodl trades, and day trades too. And we've actually been very successful this week, pretty much 100% for all trades so far. But we just took some profit on profit target 2 for Atom here, up about 67% since entry signal from the 9th of September. So all in all, Atom's been doing very well. Let's take a look at the one-day chart to kind of get perspective though. Big picture, because you need to know, of course, the previous resistance level was approximately $30. You could basically round up and say 30, it's $29.52, but simply put, $30 is an easy number to kind of remember. So support level is really close to about $30, $29.50 is a round number, if you were to kind of round down a little bit. And what's nice though is the price being above that presently. If it does come back down, which it could, it very well could retrace a little bit. It's consolidating essentially before its ramp up here today. But if it does end up going sideways and decrease, we know we got a pretty strong support level there. Furthermore as well, we've got a secondary support. Let's go ahead and draw this. You can see 33.37 is a support level. There's also potential support of 37.13. Now I say potential support because it hasn't essentially broken above this yet, even though yes, the price is above. We've still got 2 hours left in this trading cycle. It's basically 3 p.m. Pacific right now. At 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that candlestick will close. As long as that candlestick closes above $37, then that should work as a support level moving forward. And the reason why I got that, of course, because you can see last 2 days it's had trouble breaking through that resistance. And today, of course, it blasted through there. Could have been a short squeeze. There's a likelihood of that. But furthermore, just bottom line, the price increased from there. And with it having, us having about 2 hours left in this trading cycle, there's a strong chance that'll work as a support level moving forward. Okay, so that's kind of how I draw these lines on the charts. You can just pick these major support and resistance levels, and they effectively work very well. You kind of notice, but the thing is, you got to be patient, right? You can't just kind of pull them out of a hat. Yes, you can use Fibonacci retracement, but I prefer to wait for the candlesticks to close in most cases because it's a little bit more, more foolproof, I guess, if you will. Let's take a look here. RSI keeps testing 70. And kind of keeps staying below. So what's cool about this, with the price being as high as it is right now, is just barely breaking above 70. So if the price can stay above, great. But nonetheless, that's healthy. We would like to see the support of 50 and the resistance of 70 on the RSI work within regular means. Because when it goes too high above 70 on the one-day chart, more specifically, it'll have a tendency of coming back down. And we want this to continue, right? So in order to get a continuation, we need to see the RSI kind of level out here, or at least just keep staying just under 70. It's healthy when it does that. MACD, not much to disseminate here. We can obviously tell we're in bullish territory. And what we'll do is we'll look at TD sequential to kind of identify these trends, see if we're at a state of exhaustion yet. There's a good chance that we are, but on the one-day chart, you can't see that. Okay. All right, so moving on to the 4-hour. Let's take a look here. We can see these support channels. Cool thing is, price is above the 50-day simple moving average. That did work as a support here, where the price could have came back down, but it didn't. Instead, it continued upwards. That caused a convergence on the MACD at approximately 1 a.m. So when I was sound asleep, we converged on Atom earlier today. So let's go ahead and just mark that really quick so we can look at the Ishimoku cloud, see how that correlates. Furthermore, RSI is under 70 as well. This is great. I like to see when the RSI is above 50 and below 70 on both the 4-hour and the one-day chart. That gives us consistency of the fact that this is a healthy run. Now, it'd be nice if we got some sideways action for just say 4, 8, 12 hours before it goes up to another leg up, just based on the simple fact that it keeps the RSI under 70, doesn't get overextended, and it just continues that nice, healthy bull run. Because this does have good tendencies here. If you see this kind of price comes up and over, longer period of consolidation allows us to have a longer leg up. So there's definitely more gas left in the tank here, but I like the way that it's moving right now. This is very good. Let's take a look at the 1-hour, see how where we're at with the TD sequential, but also Ishimoku. And we can go ahead and see here that the price did ramp up. And I think I deleted that. In fact, let's go ahead and get that back up here. I want to go ahead and mark that once more, excuse me, for the TD sequential. All right, cool. So what I'm getting at here is this point right here. This is the 4-hour chart, right? On the 4-hour chart, we had a convergence on the MACD. So if you're kind of new to the channel, I like to draw this correlation because there's a communication, a way that the Ishimoku cloud and the MACD kind of work together. MACD on the 4-hour chart is effectively very similar to the Ishimoku cloud on the 1-hour chart. But if you can get them both to kind of fire off at the same time, it gives you like that extra special understanding that you're moving in the right direction, and then there's a likelihood of the price continuing in the same direction. So again, this is the 4-hour chart, right? On the, or no, sorry, 1-hour chart, but this is the MACD on the 4-hour chart that I marked right here. I MAC'd it right there, right? All right, let's get to it. So here, take a look at this. Ishimoku cloud, the price broke above the cloud. That's typically considered a buy signal. So when the price breaks above the cloud, that's considered a buy signal, right? Here, let me turn this off so you can kind of see what I'm saying. It broke above it at the exact same time we had a convergence on the MACD. Okay, so had you set up your alerts and you got notification for that to happen, or you saw that on the chart developing, you could have taken your entry point right here and caught this little leg up here and trimmed a quick 6% or held on for what, approximately 8 hours, and you'd be right at about 12% right now in the profit based on that one sentiment alone. So again, it's extremely helpful. It's like a swing trader's tool. Make sure that you always try to look at that. Look at the 4-hour chart, look for a convergence on the MACD, and just to clarify, a convergence is essentially when this faster moving line, it's the EMA 12, intersects with a 26 in an upward fashion. So right here. So as soon as you see that, that basically signifies that the price is moving upwards. In other words, the bears are losing control and the bulls are taking control. That's kind of what it's signifying. So identifying that's very, very helpful. That's kind of one of the key foundations of being a successful trader. Because even as a day trader, you want to look for those types of things. Because then you also, just kind of have this little extra sense of security knowing you're moving in the right direction. Okay? Because again, you never want to try to swim upstream, right? Why not just float in an inner tube downstream with your drink and your smoke, whatever you want to do, right? You're not fighting the current. And that's what this does. That essentially helps you understand that you're moving in the right direction. Okay. All right. So moving on, let's go ahead and see what TD sequential tells us. I think we're probably going to get a reset soon, but we're probably likely in overtime as well. Let's see here. All right. So here's kind of where we're at. Now, this is interesting and really cool at the same time. So this kind of drives the point home here. In other words, if you can see, let's even look back a little further here. Do you see where we see there's a 1 right here, right? When you count up to 9 on TD sequential, what it does, it helps you understand market exhaustion, right? So we got this 1 here. What this 1 is higher than the 4th previous candlestick, right? So this one closed here, this one's right there. It's higher than the 4th previous candlestick. That's why the reset occurred. So we've got a 1 there. We count up to a 9. That basically has 9 hours of bullish momentum, okay? Therefore, the bulls are likely at a state of exhaustion. They've reached their peak, and it's time for the bears to take control. Again, it doesn't always happen this way, but it's fairly consistent. So we see here, we got the 9, and we got 4 candlesticks where the price essentially doesn't count. And there's no more counting because it stops at 9. And we get this reset here. You see this neon colored light, and then it comes down to an 8. Then it resets in the state of consolidation here. So when you're in a state of consolidation, you'll see the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It'll count up and keep counting down because it doesn't keep moving in the same direction, right? That's why consolidation is important. It allows for the bulls to kind of calm down and for them to go on another ramp, right? That being said, we got a 1 all the way through to a 9 here. Coincidentally, we had a MACD convergence right then and there where the price would normally retrace. It decided to continue to go upwards, okay? And the reason why this probably happened is because this is a major resistance level. There's likely a short squeeze. That's why you see a long leg right here, and it drove the price up even further. So that's why we're in overtime right now. And when I say overtime, that's just a term that I use to kind of define it, because technically we should have had a retracement come back down here, or maybe at least go sideways, because that had a little bull run right there. But instead, it continued to do another leg up. So we're basically like, or we'd be at like an 18 or 20 if you were to keep counting, right? So 20 hours of bullish momentum, there's got to be a case in point where it calms down, right? It has to. So that's what that standard deviation is. We can identify this probably in the VWAP as well. I'm venturing to guess the price is extremely over where the volume weighted average price should be. And in turn, we have a retracement that should occur soon. It may not retrace significantly, don't get me wrong. It possibly could come down to $37 and bounce, but simply put, we should expect some sideways action moving forward because any further price increase will cause it to decrease further later, right? So any good bull run is going to have a nice consistent pattern. So that being said, we're a bit on the overextended side right now. So if you're considering taking entry, I'd recommend waiting till it comes closer to a support of $37. If you already have a position, just so you took position around here, go ahead and hold on to it. The likelihood of this continuing upwards is very high based on its momentum, its market capitalization. Everything's working very well for Atom right now. And we have this altcoin season right on the horizon. And the first thing to identify altcoin season is when these large market cap gems start taking off. Okay, so that's what's happening here. We saw it with ADA. BNB peaked a little early. I think it's still got gas left in the tank too. There's a handful of other ones, obviously Solana too. There's just kind of an example of what these major altcoins are doing right now. And soon the smaller to mid cap coins are going to take off as well. But regardless, that's kind of fueling the fire here, so to speak. So that's why I feel like Atom's going to continue on. In fact, I have a profit target for my signal group at about 50 for target number 3. And I think it's very likely that's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. But again, it needs to calm down, needs to kind of relax for a little while. So, just keep in mind, weekends are typically more profitable because the bulls, bears, all the whales, they're all essentially taking... They took their profits already, right? That's why Fridays are oftentimes red days. And then we see Monday as a potential red day too, because people like you and I are investing over the weekends, driving the price up, and they take all the profits. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There's a chance that this could consolidate / retrace early in the week, but I think it'll probably happen fairly soon in that sense, where it's got to calm down and go at least sideways. Enough about that. Let's go ahead and move on to the 15. Let's go ahead and see what the VWAP is telling us here. Okay. So here's how this works. If you're new to the channel, great. You've never heard this before. Awesome. If you are not, you've heard it before, feel free to fast forward to the end. But what I'm getting at is the volume weighted average price is the blue line here, the squiggly line, of course, not the support and resistance levels, but this one here. It's the volume weighted average price. It takes the volume last 24 hours, expresses it as a price. What that tells us is that it's either a support or resistance level. Okay, so this is basically a consistent support and resistance level that moves with the price action, resets every 24 hours. So if you go back here, you'll see at 5 p.m. Pacific, price dropped. So there you go, 1700. The VWAP resets. And what that does, and the reason why is it resets the standard deviation lines. And that's what these green lines are here, right? That standard deviation basically tells us if we're in the range of a comfortable increase or decrease. So as you can see here, the price has been hovering just above standard deviation for some time. And it's probably got somewhere in the range of 10 to 15% higher. So if you look at this right here, there we go, 6%. However, we go back and we look at its highest point, it was close to 10%. Anytime the standard deviation between the volume weighted average price and the current price action gets over 10%, it's common for the price to be kind of held down by that imaginary line. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We're above the standard deviation, which is all well and good. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's going to come crashing down. It just means it's gonna keep edging itself up. It shouldn't take a strong leg up. If it does a strong leg up, we can expect a retracement shortly after. Okay, so this is what a healthy bull run would look like, but that's a little bit too far out of my comfort zone, and I prefer to invest when the price comes closer to support. So me personally, I would honestly like to wait and see the price decrease to come back down closer to 37, that next major support level, and then add to my position. Okay. Again, keep this in mind too. If Bitcoin sells off over the weekend, Atom will have no other choice but to essentially retrace and come down further to maybe the next major support at about 33, 37. Okay? Just some things to think about, but that's kind of where we're at with the VWAP. With the EMA line here, as you can see, this is actually very healthy. This is another addition or kind of an aspect to understand with day trading. When you're using short-term trading, just say you're going to buy a position here and sell here, obviously buy low, sell high in a short time frame. The EMA is very helpful. That's the EMA 15. That's this red line here. What this does, it basically tells us that the bulls are in control or the bears are in control, right? Obviously, right now, when the price is above EMA, that's essentially telling us that, hey, the bulls are still in complete control. Anytime the price tries to come below, the EMA holds the price above. That's a great sign. It basically just allows the price to continue. So it's just a little something you look at as a day trader. Again, it's not like the end-all be-all, but you use that in combination with the VWAP. It really helps because oftentimes if you lose, just say, for example, you lose EMA, the price will bounce off of VWAP. So just say this price had come down, it would likely bounce off of VWAP. Again, if it continues in that same direction. Okay, as long as the bulls are in control, that's what happens, because the bears have to try to sell off. Like, there's no straight lines in trading, right? It has to come up and down. But when it comes down and bounces off those support levels that are continuous with the price, it creates a very healthy, comfortable transition, or continuation, if you will. That being said, at this point in time, my anticipation for Adam, actually, let's start with this first. If you're going to consider taking entry right now, wait for the price to calm down, at least go sideways, and you get a little bit more continuation on TD sequential. In other words, we want to get that reset. We need to start counting down first, okay? Because it shouldn't continue upwards from here. It might, don't get wrong, that does happen on occasion, but it's already fairly well. I mean, we've had about almost 24 hours of just bullish continuation with very little retracements. We need to see more retracement than just an hour or two. That being said, wait for it to continue sideways. I'd prefer the price to decrease to about $37 and buy closer to the support level. That's usually how I like to do it. But also keep in mind too, if Bitcoin continues to sell off, Adam will inevitably decrease, right? So even though it's contrary right now and it's moving up and Bitcoin's moving down, that's a good sign of an altcoin, right? That's a very good sign. But it doesn't mean it's impervious, right? Because if Bitcoin, I guarantee if Bitcoin drops to 44,000, we're going to see this thing nosedive very soon. So just be aware of that. That's why you look at Bitcoin first before you, before you invest anything alternative to that, because it really does have a strong foundation and, consideration there. So anyways, yeah, if you're going to take entry, I would just say be patient, try to wait a little bit. I think it's comfortable to say that the price should come down a little before taking entry. I think it's a little bit on the overextended side right now. So take some darn profits right now, for lack of better terms, if you haven't already. And that's kind of what I do. I actually closed a majority of my position. I took about 50% out of my current position once it hit about 40, 41. Okay. Might recommend you do the same, just because, again, it feels a bit on the overextended side right now. Does that mean it's not going to continue on? No, of course not. I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, my prediction, simply put, is that this will continue based on its history, the overall sentiment, and how the market is transitioning. We just need to kind of see how Bitcoin performs over the next few weeks. And once we can break past 50,000, then of course, this is going to take off. It's going to go much faster, much quicker. But there's been a lot of volume, a lot of volatility in the last 24 or 48 hours. And I think we're a bit on the overextended side right now. And it's just something to be mindful of. Okay. So that is my consideration. I think $50 is a very realistic estimate and potential within the next, just say 2 to 4 weeks loosely. Maybe even sooner, but possibly in that range there. So if you do find benefit, please let me know, of course, link in the description below. Oh, be sure to check this out too. I actually have a Patron account. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but if you're not familiar with that, reference that in your own time, because I actually send out 3 to 5 signals per week, swing trades, hodl trades, day trades. I provide you with best practice. Every entry point, profit target, sell target that I take, you can follow along and essentially profit as well. I have about an 80% success rate. It's been very, very good experience too, because we're closer to 50 members already in just a little over 2 months. So awesome stuff. So thank you so much, my patrons. In fact, that's why I made this video, to ensure, kind of help you understand a little bit more about what's actually going on with this coin that we're all invested in. All right. So thanks again so much for your time. We'll look forward to seeing the next video. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see ya.